Hello, hello, hello. You all come in, hit the like and hit the share button. Okay, give me a second. I'm trying to make sure my microphone is on. So if y'all can hear me well, someone is coming in, give me a mic check. Let me see which camera is recording. I'm not feeling 100. I'm not feeling my best, but I'm going to make this quick video because it received a lot of comments on my Facebook post today. So I made a post on Facebook that simply said, never pay a debt collection, right? Never pay a debt collection. But before we get into that, you all, let's do your 5 minutes of fame. Come in, hit the like, hit the share button. In fact, I just read an article about even with student loans, debt, and hit the thumbs up, right? Show some digital love. Whether you're watching this live or on the replay, hit the thumbs up. But I just read an article about student loans debt being canceled. However, people are still struggling financially because it's still not creating additional cash flow. So again, come in, hit that thumbs up, whatever platform you're watching on, whether it be Facebook or my YouTube channel. Show me some digital love and let me know what part of the world you are tuning in. Thank you. I see the hearts. I see the likes. Let me know what part of the world that you are tuning in from. Drop your city and or state and your country. So this is the post that I made on Facebook today. And it simply reads, never pay a debt collector. Never pay a debt collector. That debt was sold for pennies on the dollar, and they tried to collect the full amount from you. Right? I'm going to let that process to you to so you can understand. They paid for your purchase this debt from whoever sold it to them, the original creditor. Right? However, they try to collect the full amount from you. You had no business services or contractual agreement with them. And it does absolutely nothing to improve your credit, right? It does absolutely nothing to improve your credit. So let's dive into this. Let's dive into this. Why you should never pay a debt collector. It is an old topic for me. I've been teaching, educating about debt collectors, improving your credit report. Unfortunately, many people don't know the difference between a 680 credit score, a 780 credit score, and an 850 credit score in terms of not paying interest rates, right? Not having higher interest rates. People just don't know how much thousands they can save with a higher versus a lower credit score on anything that you have financed, whether it's a vehicle, whether it's a mortgage, or even your credit cards rates and terms, or just a personal loan, right? And so, three reasons. Okay, let me slow down just a little bit, even though I'm not feeling well. Um, the reason why I'm talking again about debt collectors, and I see some questions coming in, I will answer those. So just stay with me all the way to the end. Um, is because just last week I received a motion of dismissal from Navy Federal, right? Very popular credit union, Navy Federal. You all forgive me if I'm looking in the wrong camera. It's one of my other cameras that's on, and I'm used to looking at this one, so I might be looking. But it was the amount of $50,436. I was the victim of identity theft in that situation. However, um, I will let you know this, that anyone, the original creditor or a debt collector, right? According to the Fair Credit Reporting Act, that's the fair that laws that report to your credit report, and also the Fair Credit Billing Act. Anyone that collects from you, right? According to the Fair Credit Reporting Act and the Fair Credit Billing Act and the Fair Debt Collections Practices Act. The Fair Credit Reporting Act deals with your credit, what's reported on your credit reports, right? Equifax, TransUnion, Experian are the three main ones that I educate about and educate on. Now, the Fair Credit Billing Act and the Fair Debt Collections Practices Act. The Fair Debt Billing Act deals with the original creditors, mainly credit cards, and the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act deal with debt collectors, right? So requires a signature on the original consumer contract for a debt to be valid. I want you to understand that. So if you're fighting something, even on your credit report, or a debt collector is trying to collect from you, or even your original creditor, the Fair Credit Billing Act, Fair Credit Reporting Act, and the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act require your signature on the original contract. Now let's get right into this question. I have a question. What if they're send letters trying to take you to court? If you haven't been officially summoned yet, sending letters is no harm. Now, if you have been officially summoned, right? If you have been officially summoned, then I will most definitely answer that summons. I will most definitely answer that summons. And I will answer that summons according to the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act laws. Now, let me get into this. So, if you have a debt collector, also known as a collection agency, harassing you about a bill or a debt, right? Um, and in return, let's say they send you a copy of your bill, or an itemized statement, or what's called also a printout from the creditor that they purchased the debt from, which is the original creditor. So let's say, for example, you have, I'm just going to say Navy Federal since it's my recent case, a Navy Federal credit card account. Navy Federal decides that they do not want to collect from you. They tried to collect for you unsuccessfully, right? You're in default. Maybe it's a charge off. They decide to sell your debt, pennies on a dollar, for a debt collector. At this point, the debt collector is taking a risk of buying your debt because you had no business contractual services, no business transactions, no type of agreement to pay them, right? So what debt collectors do mainly is, if they can get a summons and serve you to appear in court, what most people do is they don't show up in court because most people are familiar with the original debt. You know, they might say, well, this is my debt. I did owe Navy Federal, or I did owe Chicago Oaks Hospital, right? If it's a medical bill, I'm just making that name up. I don't know if Chicago Oaks Hospital exists, right? But if it's a medical debt, or a debt sold by a debt collector, um, it all works the same, except with medical debts, is you're covered by HIPAA, right? Your HIPAA laws, your privacy laws. A doctor or hospital cannot share anything on their bill that alludes to your condition or what you might have been treated for, that they may have just broken your privacy rules. So that's under the HIPAA PPA, right? The healthcare provider creditor, the HIPAA I'm sorry, HIPAA. So when this happens, right, even if they send you a copy or itemized statement from the original creditor that they purchased the debt from, your first question should be, show me the bill of sale, right? Show me the bill of sale. The bill of sale is the amount that they purchased that debt for. Show me the bill of sale. And if a debt collector call you, more than likely their first question is, for example, if your last name is Jones, it's going to be, hello, am I speaking with Mr. or Mrs. Jones? That's to identify that they had a correct number and a correct person. So you are giving them identification and some validation that this is you if you answer speaking, or if you answer, yes, this is Miss Jones, or this is Mr. Jones. So, I would respond immediately, may I ask who's calling? I will not identify if this is me or not, because there's a lot of scams going on via phone anyway, and you don't want to give you that information via phone. And probably real fast paced, they will say things like, well, this is such and such from whatever services. It's an attempt to collect the debt from you. And I need you to verify that I'm talking to the right person, or et cetera, et cetera. I would not do that, right? I would say I've never heard of this company, because you probably never have, right? If it's Midland Funding, it is Portfolio Recovery. You never had a contractual agreement with them, so you're not lying. You never had conducted business with them, right? You didn't apply for any services with them. So typically, the following things happen. They show no proof that they have an agreement with the original creditor to even collect the alleged debt. So you say, well, I'm not familiar with you all. I'm not familiar with this count. Um, Show me something from the original creditor. Maybe I will be familiar with it. Show me the bill of sale. Show me proof that you have an agreement with the original creditor to even collect this alleged debt. Make sure you say alleged. Number two, another reason, they have no copy again of the signed contract that you allegedly agreed to pay the charges. Whether these are medical services, whether these are credit card services, whether this is a defaulted loan, do they have a copy of a signed contract saying that you agreed to pay these services? This is just like Jim and Jane, right? You borrow money from Jim. Let's say it's $1,000. You borrow money from Jim. Jim is trying to collect his money from you because that's who you had an agreement with to repay back the money. Well, Jim, after some time, says, you know what, I cannot recover my $1,000, so I would rather have something for nothing, and I'm going to sell this $1,000 debt to Jane and let Jane worry about trying to collect it, right, for $200. So Jim says, you know what, I'd rather have $200 right now than a $1,000 loss, and continue trying to pursue the person that borrowed the money from me. Hey, something is better than nothing. So Jane, here you go. Give me the $200. Good luck with that. Because I've been trying to collect my money back and it haven't happened. Well, now Jane is calling you to pay her $1,000 that you owe Jim, but you didn't borrow the money from Jane. You didn't have a contractual agreement with Jane. You didn't do business or deals or services were offered by Jane. That was Jim. So how can Jane get the money that you owe Jim? So do they have a copy of the signed contract where you allegedly agreed to pay the services, right? And if it's a medical bill, you have to ask yourself, personal medical information about you. Was this information revealed? Again, HIPAA, HIPAA, which is Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, the Privacy Act that was established in 1996. Health Insurance Accountability Act and Privacy Act rules of 1996. So those are the rules. Those are the guidelines. If a debt collector is trying to collect from you, if it's a summons, if you've been summoned, whether it's been left in your mail or left on your doorstep, the first thing I would do is respond via in writing to the summons according to the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act laws, right? According to the Fair Debt Collections Act laws. Also, if you don't respond via writing, all you have to do to respond via writing is find out where you're supposed to appear in court, whether it's justice court or civil court, right? Or circuit court, I'm sorry, whether it's justice court or circuit court. Usually justice court, also known as small claim courts, handle claims under or monetary amount under $3,500. If it's a larger amount, if it exceeds $3,500, then usually this will go to circuit court, right? For example, the Navy Federal 50,436 attempt to collect from me went to circuit court. When I took Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion court, they went to small claims court, right? So it depends on the monetary amount. Usually debt collectors go to circuit court no matter the amount that they're trying to collect because they are a third party. And so, with this being said, I will respond um, that this is not my debt. I have no contractual agreement with this company. I'm not aware of this company. Neither have I had communications or signed a contract agreement. This is alleged debt, and I would verse myself. And you can't be mentally lazy. It's just a Google search away, the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act. And I would definitely put some of the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act laws in there, along with the Fair Credit Billing Reporting Act as well. But usually, if it's a debt collector, the Fair Debt Collections Practices Act will be suffice that will do. And those are your arguments that you based off on. Also, some things you need to know is that a collection agency, they cannot call you after 9 p.m. at night or before 8 o'clock a.m., right? That's a violation of the Fair Debt Collections Practices Act. Also, debt collector collection agency, they have to validate your debt. And if they have not validated your debt and they still report it to the credit bureaus, that's also against the Fair Debt Collections Practices Act, right? Also, debt collectors, collection agencies cannot call you at work, right? When you advise them that you do not want these calls, when you advise them that you do not want these calls. Also, this is something that most people do not know as well. Debt collectors, collection agencies must be in the county in which you live when you sign the original contract for the debt, or where you live at the time when they file the lawsuit. So if they summons you, the debt collector must be in the county in which you live when you sign the original contract. So if you get an out of state debt collector or out of county debt collector, that is illegal, right? So they must be, and if they're not in that county where you even signed the original contract for the debt for what you live in the time that you live at the time that they filed a lawsuit. So that's it. Looking at some notes. Also, debt collectors cannot use any type of harassment. And another thing, when I went to justice court, when I filed a lawsuit against Equifax TransUnion and Experian, a lot of things that was awarded to debt collectors is just by default. It were no shows. And the people that did show up, they only showed up to try to arrange some type of payment agreement. The very first question that the judge asked those people that made them liable to pay the debt collector was, is this your debt? Is this your account? That's the legal question the judge is going to ask you by law. If you show up for a summons, if you didn't respond in writing for a summons. And just know that sometimes if you respond in writing to the summons the correct way, they would not get a court date. If you don't respond the correct way, they will get awarded a court date. And if you show up in court, the very first question, I promise you, that judge is going to ask you, is this your debt? Do you owe this? Is this your account? Is this your debt? The very first thing a lot of people, every person I heard that did show up for court said was, yes, Your Honor, this is my debt. When it wasn't. It was not. Think about the Jim and Jane scenario example that I shared earlier. If you're just not coming in, go back and watch the beginning of this live stream. You did not have a contractual agreement with Jane. Jane is the debt collector. Jim is the original creditor. No, Your Honor, this is not my debt. Now, I don't know what question will come after that, because everyone admitted that it was their debt with a debt collector. If the judge would ask something like, well, why do you believe this is not your debt? I would say, because I had no business services, no contractual agreement. I'm not even aware who Midland Funding or Portfolio Recovery is. I never had any services contractual agreement with them. And it's the honest truth, right? Isn't it? It's the honest truth. You're going to be sworn. They're going to ask you to raise your right hand. I swear to tell the truth, nothing but the truth, so help me God. And that is the truth. So, with that being said, I'm logging off. That's why you never agree to pay a debt collector, because they more than likely do not have legal rights to collect it from you. You have no contractual agreement or business services. There are third party debt collectors who collect your debt as a part of their income revenue for pennies on the dollar. And please make yourself familiar. It's a Google search away with the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act. Also, if you report on your credit report, on the Fair Credit Reporting Act, and also the Fair Credit Billing Act. All of those, all three, requires the proof of the original contract. So you can ask your debt collectors on this alleged debt, show me proof of the original contract, show me the bill of sale, show me that I have some type of contractual agreement to pay you. That's it. That's it. I'm logging off. Hello, Lavana. Hello, Bethany. Thank you all for coming in and saying hello. Make sure you are subscribed to me on YouTube. Hit the thumbs up again. Subscribe. Show me some digital love. If you're watching this on the replay, come in and say hello. I just dropped you $1 million worth of game. And I always remember the higher your credit scores, the lower your interest rates, the more cash flow that you can accumulate. You all have a great rest of your night. Queen out.